Hello, everyone, and welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. Well, today I want to tell you about holiday camps. Holiday camps. These were places which working class people could go on holiday during the 30s, 40s, 50s, all the way up until the 1990s. It was a thing of the 20th century, and the idea of the holiday camp was to keep you inside a large kind of compound and to encourage you to be entertained and to spend your money all within this one area. So it wasn't like you stayed there and you could go outside to the town. You were expected to go and make friends and have entertainment all within this place. Now, of course, you could go out. I mean, you weren't a prisoner, but you paid one amount of money and then you got everything free inside. It was kind of set up to look like a military place. And I think the reason for that is because obviously First World War had been and gone, and that was in everyone's minds. And the Second World War also was coming up. So there was a lot of feeling about this idea of soldiers and everything else. And these holiday camps, although they looked quite strict, it looked like they had military barracks, were actually fun places to go. Now, by today's standards, they certainly wouldn't be fun. I mean, you had a chalet, let's say there was a row of maybe 50 or 100 chalets that were only for sleeping in, and the walls were painfully thin, so you heard every noise in the chalet next door. And then there would be a shower block, so everyone would hurry to take showers in the morning. It wouldn't be private because you wouldn't have a shower or a toilet inside your room. So you would have to use a communal shower, maybe a little bit like when you go camping. Even though it's called a holiday camp, there weren't any tents inside, okay? So you lived in little chalets, and in these little chalets, you had usually a table, a chair, and a bed, and of course a wardrobe to put your clothes in, and that's where you spent a lot of your time. And in the later versions of holiday camps, you also had room for caravans. So it could be a caravan park as well. You could park there and use their facilities. But again, the idea is that you would do everything inside this compound. So most of them had really traditional British things like ballroom dancing. That always was a traditional British thing. Other kinds of dancing. You might find themed bars like a Hawaiian bar, a bar with another theme, maybe a party bar. And British people, of course, love alcohol, so drink would be flowing. And if you're getting it all for one price, it was very appealing. Now, you have to know that in the old days, in the 20th century, Britain was a very industrial country. So we had many, many factories. Education was something for rich people. So there were many, many people here who didn't come from those kinds of families. Education was for something exclusively for rich people. So poor people, working class people liked holiday camps because they were cheap and they lowered themselves to their kind of mindsets. And if you want to see examples of that, there is a TV show, a very famous British TV comedy called Heidi High, which shows holiday camps for what they were. It's very interesting. If you get the chance to watch Heidi High, you can see the class differences because the manager in Heidi High is a very well educated man and he's been offered a job to look after these working class people. And everyone's uncomfortable with him because he just shouldn't be there. He's not in touch with the people. So it's very, very interesting. So yes, Heidi High is a famous TV show. Anyway, these holiday camps are still around today, but they've all been renovated. They've been turned into kind of like hotel parks. I think now most of them are owned by the Centre Parks Consortium. But when they first started, Billy Butlin organized Butlin's theme parks. They weren't called theme parks. They were always called holiday parks or holiday centres. They usually had a fun fair, a swimming pool, pubs, maybe some souvenir shops, but you weren't really encouraged to go out. So a little bit different from today's life, the way we live, the way we go on holidays. So most of them came to an end in the 1970s when British people started to travel more. And of course, when Margaret Thatcher made her changes and made university available to all people, then at that point, as we became more educated, this idea of going to a holiday camp was no longer really appealing. I mean, they were still around in the 1980s when I was a boy. There was one near here. It was a Butlin's holiday camp owned by Billy Butlin. And it was, if you're from the Soviet Union era, you might remember the dachas, those little houses. Well, if you imagine the smallest dacha, like the little house in the countryside, if you imagine 50 of those or 100 of those in a line, you're getting the idea of maybe what the chalet was like. So very, very basic. You just went there to sleep, and you would probably spend most of your days drunk anyway. So it was the perfect idea for British people, and it fostered a sense of British identity as well. There was a real sense of community and joy there because people were meeting other like-minded people. Remember, if you came from a small community, you didn't really get the chance to get out and meet people from other towns or other places. So there was a lot of dating happened, a lot of introductions. In those days, Britain was community focused, which meant that we actually liked people, unlike today. I mean, you try to talk to someone today, you'll just get frozen out. People now don't socialize anymore. If you're lucky enough to work in a place which has a strong social circle, or in a city, it's a bit different. But in the countryside, I think it's not like that. I know around here, where I live, people's romance with alcohol is the first thing. So if you drink with someone, you'll become their friend. If you go to the pub, you can chat with people. But if you don't drink anything and you don't take drugs, you won't be popular. People don't really know how to interact. Alcohol it's so much in us, that for some people it's very hard to escape that behavior. It's something that the government are looking at, but I think it'll take a couple more generations before people become free of that. So yes, that's holiday camps. So a couple of things to remember. One is the TV show Heidi High. Two is if you imagine a very small chalet, beach hut, maybe a really tiny dacha, then you'll get an idea of what it was like. The people who worked there, they used to wear red coats, so they became known as the Red Coats, and they used this greeting, Heidi High, when you met them, and immediately you're supposed to say back, Hody Ho. I can't remember the meaning of Heidi High and Hody Ho, but it's something related to the war. It was some kind of military thing, as I recall. So there we are. Yes, holiday camps, a huge thing in mid-20th century Britain. But now, of course, the idea of sharing a shower or a toilet with anyone has long gone. And even sharing a chalet or living space with people, that isn't something that we really do unless you go to a hostel, maybe, something like that. So, yeah, very, very interesting. So, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope to catch you all again soon. So, that was me with a little bit of history about holiday camps. See you. Bye.